sometimes I really don't know what to call these people, but just for lack of better thing, light workers.
Light workers, love workers. That's what most people call them.
A lot of them will say, well, no, you can't be possessed if you don't choose to be. And other people say, well, no, I've come across some pretty...
That's like some people say that voodoo is not real unless you believe in it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it is not my experience that is true.
Good.
At all.
Good.
Both questions.
Yeah. Good.
Belief is not required. It happens anyway.
Yeah. Well said. Good.
And that's the answer for reincarnation also.
Ah.
And a lot of other things.
Interesting how it's all interconnected, eh?
It's all interconnected. Spooky how it's connected.
I know.
As are all of us.
Absolutely. In your travels, have you found that there's a lot of clearers out there?
No, I wish there were more. And one of my partners and I tried to give a class for 6 weeks. We thought we would give enough time to it, and I swore after that, no, we're not going to do this again. It's not necessarily something you can go to class for, although we're working on that. A person can learn many things, and that's what the book is for. And most people can benefit and have help that way. But to become a practitioner for someone else, that's another ballgame.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know what, I think that you would be knocking your head against a wall.
Well, there's so much to learn and so much to know, and those who are put on the path, I encourage them, please continue. Yeah. We need the help.
And it's something
clear whole towns at one time.
And I think it's something that you have to have been brought to along your own journey.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not something that you can say, well, you know, I'm thinking today that I want to do this.
Right.
It's something that just happens.
Oh, my mother used to say, oh, you just have to be weird, don't you? I said, no, please.
Yeah, I really don't want to be.
Please, I have asked guidance, how long do I have to do this? Can I change my mind? Can I get out? Da-da-da-da. Because it can leak into your life, and it doesn't mean that it's going to go to your children because they're children, no. But a given case can affect you.
Yes.
My mother always said, no good deed goes unpunished. Which is a very Celtic way of looking at things.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, like we're very irreverent about death, and we'll make jokes and plan it in great detail before it happens. And some people are very disconcerted by that. But, you know, the only way I'm going to have control of my own funeral is if I plan it.
Yes.
And at least if I'm going to view it, I'll like it.
Just be sure you attend.
Well, that is the plan.
I have a little sticker that's for a book, or actually for a Halloween party, and it's a sticker, and it says, and there's a little tombstone on it. It says, my name was.
I like that.
I said, somehow I'd love to stick this on some of our deceased clients. Here you go.
You have it attached to the forehead.
Yeah.
My name was.
Oh, wow. This is so interesting.
It's a fascinating world, sometimes a little frustrating. And
if one wants to read your book, how can they do that?
Yes.
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com.
It may be elsewhere, but it's on Amazon.com.
Now, is that...
But I'm sure of it. Just came out. So.
Is that paper or is that electronic?
In either form, paperback or electronic.
Okay. I've come across very few clearers. They're a breed apart.
Yes, in several ways, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's a path. It's a chosen path from some level. I've been told that I did it before, so it's time to do it again.
How far back can you trace your work?
Oh, you mean reincarnationally speaking?
Yeah. Before or after Babylon?
Yeah, someone said going back 1,200 years.
Yeah.
But then again, years are strange when you're talking reincarnationally speaking, and different civilizations, because there have been many civilizations here. Atlantis didn't happen just once. It was like 3 or 4 different phases. Because people have been on this planet for quite a long time.
An awfully long time.
Yeah. And we are immortal, so we've incarnated here.
Yeah.
Many of us, not all.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have said to me, have you ever felt that you lived before? And I said, I've never had any feelings. However, as a small child walking to school, I would visualize myself up north on a trap line from a really young age, and visualize the snapping of the snow as I walked, and visualizing, releasing the traps and gathering. And I think that's a rather odd vision for a child to have.
Certainly, I think you were tapping into past lives.
Yeah.
One question that intrigues me, that, and I think you have a chapter of this in your book as well. Is there degrees of possession?
Yes.
How can there be degrees of possession?
Well, for some it can be a light attachment, not even necessarily a relative or a karmic situation. You had light, you passed by, or you were somewhere, you went to the hospital to visit somebody, and the place was crowded. They usually are. I can't tell you how many times we cleared the local hospital.
Yeah, God, that must be a wicked place.
Which we always extend a clearing there if someone lives nearby or if we're dealing with a client who's in there.
What about, I guess water too.
Especially the Molokini unit, which is the mental ward.
Right.
And that's a light possession. Someone is just drawn to your light, and they're along for the ride because they feel that you're safe.
Is that what's known as a string? I've heard people refer to them as strings.
Strings? Well, they're called Akka cords. The Akka cords are usually, if it's between deceased and those in body, that's going to be personal and karmic.
Yeah, that's like a leech.
Someone you hate or someone you love. The Akka cords are connected either way. But they can climb into your auric field, and they're kind of riding along. They are in connection or attachment. And the difference between that and like spirit guides, well, aren't they there too? No, they're not attached. They're floating. They're not attached, not hooked in anywhere.
That's the difference.
They are not feeding upon you.
For people that are thinking, is this a guide or is this something else? There's how you tell right there.
Exactly.
Is it attached?
Right.
A friend of mine, and we've gone through a number of different experiences, and we have our differences, but I still call him a friend.
Mm-hmm.
But because we're past this physical thing, but he's made a deal with a certain entity that's not a very nice entity. Have you come in contact with that before?
Yes, and they think they're helping. Or they will hang on to a wizard because the wizard gives them a little magic, a little power.
Yeah, but it's not
they
a
don't
good...
feel fully empowered or, good enough themselves. The most serious form of possession that we've run across, well, first extraterrestrial, you can't even touch that, is MPD types of people, because there's a difference. Before it gets to that level, the owner of the body is still in charge, still in main focus, most of the time. With MPD, the owner of the body can literally be put on a back burner or in a box someplace, and they're not in charge. Very often, sometimes never. In one particular case, the entity had not been in the spotlight, in charge, or sitting in the front, if you will, for 10 years.
Wow.
And this group was running the body.
Wow. We had one of my first big-time guests was Duncan Cameron from the Philadelphia Experience.
And the Montauk
Project.
Oh, yes.
And some of his experiences pretty darn scary.
Yeah, he is a full walk-in of his brother.
Right.
Who agreed at 10 to allow him, through time travel, to do a full walk-in.
Absolutely, that's getting into a whole other ballgame.
Yeah,
but yes, we
and I asked him from a personal view how his brother could make this sacrifice, because essentially this man is now in his 50s. So for so many years, his brother has been a non-entity, and I wondered about that.
Well, yeah, but what he said was it was himself.
Yeah, I know, and that's where I was having trouble with that, because I'm thinking there's two souls from my perspective. I'm thinking that there's the brother, and then this person who is also his brother, and therefore himself, but yet different.
No, I mean, it's just a future incarnation of a...
That's a mind bender to me.
Right.
A future incarnation of a past self.
Yeah, it's like, it's like somebody says, well, I could have been your father in a former life, and now I'm your teacher.
Or I'm your son, or
I'm your son,
your next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's everybody that we come into contact with is somebody that we've come in contact with before at some point.
Yes, especially if there's a close relationship ultimately, or there's just a strong connection to start with, good or bad.
Yeah, good or bad, yeah.
Yeah, they don't have to necessarily be your mate or your children.
So
yes, other dimensional stuff is quite bizarre. That's just a book in itself.
Yeah, how would you deal with that?
And
Or
that
can
has
you?
to do with implants and mind control, and has to do with various things, whether it's corporate or it's military government or whether it's extraterrestrial. There's a lot of stuff going on. And you get into the whole field of remote viewers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who...
And the shadow people.
yes.
In our experience, shadow people are not deceased. Shadow people are visiting you for one reason or another, that they belong to an incarnated body on this planet or another planet.
Oh,
Say that
okay.
again? That they're which?
They're not deceased. They're in your space for a reason, spying, visiting, experimenting, lost, but they belong to a body that has a pulse.
Wow. Then that's something that is vitally important
To be aware of.
to be aware of.
And remote viewing is being taught by many, many different people. So a whole lot of people, curiosity seekers,
Yeah.
who are bored and want to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you're at an airport, the place is full. In the astro with all of them traveling around and flying around.
You know, I had a most interesting experience a few months ago. I know I only got 5 minutes. I'm an avid lucid dreamer, and I love to lucid dream. I can't do it at will yet, but I can if I really set my mind to it, I can usually end up doing it. And one of my last lucid dreams, the first time and only time this has ever happened, and it was an incredible one of my better ones. And as I'm flying over this territory, I immediately get sucked down. Somebody in the dream realm had set up these copper tubings in a field, and it immediately stopped me from flying.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this no-fly zone, and it immediately dropped me down into his field. And it's like I immediately had to wake myself up because I didn't want this person to know who I was.
Well, they're either trying to create a zoo or they're protecting themselves. They're trying to catch a whole bunch of you flying.
That's what I got. That's what I got. That this was not a...
Because George said he could describe him. He would know him.
I'd know him if I saw him.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I thought...
That's how detailed it was.
Yeah, this was not a
Right,
nice
so-
guy. I felt a really bad thing from him, that he
Well,
was...
there are many who capture souls
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt like. He was trying to capture them.
from living bodies, capture souls as they're crossing over. And that's another whole ballgame in itself.
I guess that's the thing. One doesn't have to be dead to have their soul captured.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I would like to read your book and then talk more.
Okay, I'm going to try to resend that.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you'll come on again with us.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So do I. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you once again, Jeri, for sharing your sacred space with our sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you, and much aloha.
Walk well.
Thank you.